let's go ahead and do it. And welcome to another episode of the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast on the Stables Network, the show that provides research and statistics all about the Detroit and Michigan sports teams, whether fans like it or not, and detects, exposes, and reveals actual and hidden facts and truth that the mainstream media doesn't want you to know. I'm Taylor Phillips, along with Frank Vasner. Follow me on Twitter at Periscope and Instagram at DT2Phillips. Follow Frank Vasner on Twitter, Periscope, and Instagram at Frank_Vasner, VAJCNER. My last name is with two L's, by the way, Phillips, PHILLIPS. Follow the show on Twitter, Periscope, and Instagram at Michigan_Truth. Also like its verified Facebook page, the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast. Check out its website, the MichiganSportsTruthPodcast.com, and scour the Stables Network's new website, primetimewiththestablesnetwork.com. The Michigan Sports Truth Podcast does not represent or defame any of the teams it covers, nor does it represent or compete against any of the mainstream media in the state of Michigan. It only detects, exposes, and reveals honest, actual, and hidden truth facts and statistics about them because the truth is always out there. So we got lots of topics to take care of. So why don't we get to it? First off, our top story from earlier this week. Central Michigan Chippewa's starting quarterback David Moore was suspended by the NCAA by testing positive for what they report as a banned substance. Moore will be ineligible to play during his appeal. CMU has appealed for him, saying the over-the-counter nutritional supplement likely caused the positive test. If Moore is denied the appeal, he will be suspended for a full calendar year from the positive test, which is October 8th, 2019, which is yesterday, a day prior to this. He can still practice. If this is really an over-the-counter nutritional supplement that he's taking, however, then the NCAA should grant his appeal and let him play. However, well, they will. However, if it's actually a banned substance instead, then the suspension will be on. So that's just the way it goes. Still no word on whether, technically no word yet on whether or not it's an over-the-counter nutritional supplement or a banned or an actual banned substance such as a PED. There's a fine line between a nutritional supplement such as B complex 50, which I have right here for my almost for my autism and stuff, but there's a fine line between that, for example, and a performance enhancing drug like a steroid, like steroids. So Frank, you want to justify it? You want to explain how further how this goes to our audience here?
Well, if Moore is claiming that it's something that's over the counter, it's probably something that he may have bought at GNC that he takes before every workout. It's probably his pre-workout stuff. I mean, you pretty much find that stuff, you mix it with water, whatever beverage you want. But I mean, most of that stuff is fairly legal. It's nothing. There's no anabolic substances in there, which are anabolic steroids aren't illegal. But there have been times where if you buy something over the counter and let's say you mix it with something, it may trigger a positive test result. So maybe that is something that could have happened in this case. So I think possibly he may have to submit another test sample again and for a drug test, see if that was the case. And if he comes back positive again, then yeah, he probably took something that he shouldn't have. Now, as for if he actually did it knowing that it was illegal or not knowing, that's a whole other matter in itself. So hopefully this is something that does get taken care of. I mean, the most notable example I can think of that happened within the last few years was Will Greer, who was a quarterback at Florida. He got nailed in a similar instance, and he got suspended for a whole season. He eventually ended up transferring to West Virginia and got drafted by the Carolina Panthers in the most recent draft. So hopefully it's not a severe issue and that does get resolved quickly. But again, this is something that should let the due process play out and see what happens.
Yeah, and taking another test, which David Moore might have to is actually part of the appeal, and that's what you got to do. If you're going to appeal, you got to prove why. You got to try to prove to yourself whether you're not taking a drug or taking a drug, that whether you're taking a drug or not, and that's just how the system should go, and I think that's how it goes. So it's really good. It's a really good way to show to the NCAA and its doctors and stuff to get why you should be suspended for a full year. So
and it also, if for any athlete who does take pre-workout supplements, make sure you do your homework and read the label and make sure you know what's in there, and make sure you research what substances are legal and which are banned. And I think that Moore needs to possibly be a little bit more thorough in this case, because for one, I highly doubt that he blatantly did something illegal, because again, knowing how grave the consequences are, I would say maybe this may have just been a mistake on his part, but hopefully it does get resolved.
Yep, hopefully. But we'll stay on top of that developing story as it continues to unfold. Speaking of CMU, former CMU Chippewa wide receiver Antonio Brown reports to the media that he wants back with the New England Patriots, that he wants to play football again. The Patriots cut him like a couple weeks ago, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
Yeah, and I don't even know if they should rehire him or not. The Patriots just don't put up with any nonsense. They're the New England Patriots. They're the defending Super Bowl champions. They have a winning culture, and they just don't tolerate any drama. So that's just simple. Doesn't matter who you are, whether you're a superstar or not. You just can't do any drama. So that's just part of it. So Antonio Brown, if he wants to play football again, he'll have to choose another team. He can't go back to New England.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to bring him back, and I'm not really sure there is any other team, because if you can't last in New England, you're likely not going to end up playing in the league again. And some people have said that he should go to the XFL, but I already know that they've made it clear they don't want guys with extra baggage. So really, he may end up having to play in the Arena League or possibly head north of the border to Canada. But again, this is something only time will tell. See what happens.
Yeah, and we'll stay on top of that one. This is yet another developing story on of current CMU Chippewa and a former CMU Chippewa from back in the late 2000s and stuff. It's just all sorts of drama going on with my university's athletic department, for goodness sake. Thank you very much. Yikes. Fire up Chips. My goodness. So speaking of college football, we've got numbers. Michigan beat Iowa. They held them to just 3 points, and they won 10-3. Their offense looked really, really iffy. First off, I know their defense was spectacular. I did not know that they would hold then 14th ranked Iowa, the Hawkeyes, to just 3 lousy points. That is quite incredible. That was better than that one win back in 2016 in Ann Arbor against the Wisconsin Badgers. That was a big game, we have to admit, but this one was even bigger this year than it was 3 years ago at the Big House. But my goodness, Michigan held Iowa's powerful offense to just 3 points. You got to hand it to them.
I will admit fully that Michigan's defense did show up to play, but here's what my thoughts on Iowa is that I thought they were kind of overrated coming in, and on the season coming into this one, they had wins over Miami of Ohio, Rutgers, close win over Iowa State, and they blasted Middle Tennessee State. So they pretty much had wins over average to below average teams. And
Middle Tennessee State.
Yeah, Middle Tennessee State has only won 2 games this year. They're pretty much on
Michigan beat them. They just didn't blow them out like Iowa did.
Yeah. But here's the thing I've noticed with Iowa, Taylor, is you get them away from Kinnick Stadium, they're a different team, and they pretty much showed that. I mean, you're not. It's pretty rare that they're going to go into a place like the Big House or the Shoe and steal a victory. The only time I remember them winning in the Big House when Michigan was actually good was 2002 when I believe Brad Banks tore Michigan to shreds and emptied out the Big House.
That's a good reminder. And Michigan, they just seem to be doing good at home, even if their offense was really iffy. Jake Moody, for example, missed 2 field goals, one of them from long, like 47, and then another one being a chip shot, which he missed. That could have like pretty much almost sealed the game, that could have made it a 2-possession game. But that Michigan led 10-0 to begin with, so they had a 2-possession lead before. They could have made it a 2-possession game again, but Jake Moody just flat out choked it.
Yeah. And one thing I do want to hit on real quick is Jim Harbaugh saying that the offense is hitting its stride. What? You put up 10 points in the first quarter, and that's it. Your quarterback only threw for 147 yards, also a pick. Your leading rusher only put up 42 yards. I mean, look, your defense probably put together their best performance, one of their better performances of the season. And against a team that's halfway decent, I would say, someone will say, oh, well, they shut Rutgers out. But come on, Rutgers is one of the 10 worst teams in America. So if you shut them out, anybody can do that. But Harbaugh claiming that the offense is hitting its stride. Look, Shea Patterson, 14-26, 147 yards, no touchdowns, and 1 interception. Zach Charbonnet only puts up 42 yards on the ground, averages 3.2 a carry. As a team, you averaged 3.6 yards per run, and that's pretty much show a problem that you've had all season. I mean, Nico Collins. I will give Michigan credit. Nico Collins, I think, is going to play in the NFL as a wide receiver. So you've got some good receivers. I said it before. Nico Collins, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Tariq Black. You've got 3 good receivers. Why not air it out to them more? But I think it also goes back to what Shea Patterson was when he came in here. He's basically a single read shotgun QB who doesn't really progress through his reads very well and read coverages. For one, I mean, if he throws up to Nico Collins every play, okay, yeah, that might get you yardage, but again, defenses are eventually going to find a way to key in and get after you. And I think that if you keep playing like this in your bigger games this season, and we'll pull up Michigan's schedule. Oh, I mean, look, on the road to Illinois, okay, you should win that one. Going to Happy Valley at night, you put up a performance on offense like you did against Iowa, you're not winning. Same deal with Notre Dame coming into the Big House. I mean, Maryland, I'll say win. Michigan State, rivalry game, that's still a toss-up. More on Michigan State later.
I love toss-ups between Michigan and Michigan State because I love them both evenly, personally.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean that's always gonna be a tough game. Indiana, the last couple times you've gone down, they've gone to Bloomington, and they've had a hard time putting Indiana away. And then if your offense plays that pathetic against the Buckeyes, you're gonna get decapitated.
Oh boy.
So I mean, look, and it seems like Harbaugh is basically saying, "Oh, it's just a Spencer saying, oh, well, our offense is hitting its stride." Really? Your best performance was against one of the 10 worst teams in America in Rutgers.
Right.
Who I think there's probably some high school teams who could put up just as good of an effort.
Oh boy, yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, look, you want to claim that your offense is getting better, go out and do something. I mean, look, Illinois is somewhat better than what they've been in years past, maybe. They're 2-3, but I still don't think they're any good. They're still near the bottom of the Big Ten West Division. In fact, they even lost to Eastern Michigan, and back in, I believe it was week 3. They've only beaten Akron and UConn, who are 2 of the 10 worst teams in America as well. They put up a fight against Nebraska, and they got their doors blown off by Minnesota. So I think this is a game I think Michigan will win pretty easily. But, I mean, I think what you have to do if you're Jim Harbaugh, look for things that you need to get better at and try and get better at running the ball. I mean, what that means, blocking better. I mean, having Shea Patterson work on his reads more, progress through them. Heck, I think even if he goes out and struggles again, I think there is the possibility that once Dylan McCaffrey is healthy, we could possibly see a quarterback change if things don't improve. Because for one, your offense has got to get going if you want to end up going to Indy and winning the Big Ten East.
Yeah, and definitely. Shea Patterson, he's the only quarterback that's healthy that Michigan has. Dylan McCaffrey still out with a concussion. I don't know how long Dylan McCaffrey's going to be out. That's a darn shame.
We'll see how. He's probably going to be out this week. I mean, he could possibly be healthy by the time they go to Happy Valley next week to play Penn State. Hey, but you better hope, because right now Patterson's the only option you got. If they put Joe Milton in, that's pretty much waving the white flag on the season, saying, okay, you might be the quarterback of the future, but you're basically going to have to take your lumps and see what happens.
Yeah, Joe Milton, I never heard of him.
Yeah, he's their third stringer. He's actually come in and mop up duty a few times, but he remains a project. Currently the spread for the game against Illinois is Michigan -22. I think that they'll cover that easily. But I'll actually go ahead and put a pick down. I think Michigan wins it, say 42 to, we'll say 14. Illinois might get a garbage TD late. So I think they'll win this one easily, and then it'll be on to Happy Valley for them, and that's really going to be a doozy.
Yeah, I'm going to go lower on Michigan's amount of points. I think Harbaugh is getting too cocky with its offense. That I think Michigan's going to put up 33 points. They're going to win 33-10. 33-10, Michigan beating Illinois. So okay. I think Michigan's defense, the way they perform, they can almost how about 33-6, 2 field goals all actually. Right. Yeah, because the way they held Iowa to 3 points, yikes.
Yeah, and plus Iowa's offensive line couldn't pass block to save their lives in that game.
Right, exactly. So, yeah, that's what we have for Michigan, and Yeah, Shea Patterson just needs to stop throwing interceptions. So that's pretty much it. They didn't they at least they've done a better job the last two games with ball security. I guess that's what Harbaugh meant by hitting its stride about the offense. Although it's fumbled the ball like the first 3 weeks or so. One against Middle Tennessee State, the other against Army, the other Wisconsin. Before they started doing a better job with ball security against Rutgers, and then Iowa. So Michigan, 4-1, they move up to 16th in the AP poll rankings in college football. So this is just what Michigan just has to keep on doing, just taking care of the football with ball security, just hanging on to the football. That's one thing the offense is doing right. The last two games, let's just hope they keep it up against Illinois and then Penn State. So and so on and so forth. If they, they might lose a close one to Ohio State if they hang on to the football, but Ohio State's offense is very, very powerful. Michigan's defense gave up 55 of the 62 points last year, as you may have recalled, Frank. That was in the Horseshoe. This year, it's in the Big House in Ann Arbor. The Buckeyes are going to come in, but it's in a very hostile environment, very, very hostile. The border rivalry, the rivalry of all sports, the game. That'll have to wait until like 2 days after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that is very true. And since you bring up Ohio State, we'll shift gears to Michigan State, who the Buckeyes ended up playing. And of course, this one kind of actually went as I expected. Ohio State winning 34-10.
Mm-hmm.
And I know some people say, oh, well, it wasn't a complete blowout. Well, I mean, Michigan State, to their credit, their defense actually played pretty tough in the first quarter. They got to Justin Fields a little bit. But, I mean, but the truth is, I think those two fumbles really kind of killed their chance to jump on them. They fumbled twice in the first quarter. Even though it only led to Ohio State hitting one of two field goals. But then once the second quarter rolled around, that's when Ohio State started getting rolling. And then it was pretty much at the point where they added a touchdown in the fourth and took their foot off the accelerator during that one. Michigan State's defense, I mean, as a Spartan fan, I don't like saying this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Michigan State's defense is highly overrated. I mean, they gave up 529 yards to Ohio State, as I'm looking at the box score right now. I mean, Justin Fields again, they took their foot off the accelerator through two touchdowns. They did end up getting an interception. And then that was Fields' first interception thrown of his career But pretty much they really struggled to move the ball at all. Brian Lewerke ended up throwing 218 yards. Did have one touchdown, but he ended up throwing a pick. And plus he ended up missing a ton of receivers. Darryl Stewart ended up dropping a couple passes. Cody White dropped one. It's pretty – people say there was a couple plays that if they were made, it could have been different. But, you still got to end up making those plays. And if you want to beat a team of this caliber, because I think Ohio State showed that they are one of the top teams in college football. And, I wouldn't be surprised – I said this other times too. I wouldn't be surprised if they, at a minimum, put up a fight against Clemson or Alabama if they end up getting to the playoff this season.
Yeah.
Only time will tell what happens there. But as for Michigan State, they now have to turn around and play Wisconsin. Yeah, that. See, I knew this was going to be a tough stretch when I looked at the schedule. So they had to go to Columbus and Madison in consecutive weeks. But it's kind of like when you play a team like Ohio State in their house, you lose them twice. You lose them the week of, and then you're kind of beat up after that one. You got to turn around and go to Madison and play them and play the Badgers in their place, which, again, Wisconsin comes in ranked 8th in the country, hasn't lost a game. And everyone pretty much knows about Jonathan Taylor, their running back, who's rushed for 745 yards and 12 touchdowns and was a Heisman contender last season and is expected to be in New York again this time around. But I look at Wisconsin, and they have only given up a grand total of 29 points all season, 15 Northwestern, 14 to Michigan. But they've also played some pretty weak competition. I mean, outside of destroying Michigan, Northwestern, who has only got one win on the season. Kent State and Central Michigan, they shut out pretty easily, although Kent State's pretty awful. And then South Florida, they opened the season with a 49-0 shellacking of, who is also it's pretty rough as well. Truthfully, I've seen Michigan State go into Madison before and steal a win, but I don't see it this time around because for one, they're still kind of beat up from their loss they took to Ohio State. I'm really not sure if they're going to be able to keep Jonathan Taylor contained. And plus, I'm not sure if their offense is going to be able to get going as well. And keep in mind that they did end up having a running back, Darius Jefferson, under the transfer portal. So now it's pretty much going to be a lot on Elijah Collins. I mean, unless he seemingly finds running room and absolutely goes bananas, I don't see Michigan State winning this game. But I also kind of don't foresee it being as bad as the Ohio State game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say this one probably ends up being – honestly, I can see it being a low-scoring defensive game. I could see it being kind of a 21-17 game, maybe a 24-17 game. Wisconsin ends up winning it. But I think the other thing, too, is Wisconsin doesn't really throw the football that much. Jack Cohn, their quarterback's only thrown 7 touchdowns on the season. They're just pretty much very run heavy, and they're just going to pound and pound and pound and pound, and when all else fails, pound it some more. So I think it's good. I think Wisconsin wins at 24-17. Michigan State will hang around. It'll be a tough physical game, but I think the Badgers prevail in this one.
I'm going to pick the Badgers 38 and the Spartans 10. Now, the Spartans offense still can't get anything going, especially on the road. And the way they got beat up by Ohio State, their defense, they're playing in another hostile environment in Madison. Just like Michigan got rickrolled by Wisconsin, I think the Spartans are going to suffer the same fate. So 38-10 is my score prediction. Wisconsin rickrolls the Spartans. So Michigan and Illinois Saturday at noon on ABC. We remember EMU beating Illinois on the road early this season, and then the Spartans at the Badgers 3:30 on BTN. We are going to preview the Lions and Packers. We are going to recap Chiefs Lions. The Lions Packers preview is next, but let's go ahead and recap the Chiefs Lions since we didn't get to do it here on the Stables Network due to technical difficulties on that old feed. So it was a close one. The Lions fans think the refs might have screwed them, which was not the case, and that's what's wrong with the Lions fan. That's what's wrong with Lions fans. They they just want everything to go their way just because they're just so desperate due to the fact that their team has won only one playoff game in 62 years. And it's been run to the ground by the Ford family. They just don't care. It's just first off, Kenny Galladay's touchdown that was overturned. The ball was juggling in his hands. You got to squeeze the whole thing. You can't let it juggle. That was just a nanosecond or two right before Kenny Galladay's second foot landed down in the end zone. Both feet were down, but the ball was juggling just before then. I think the ball started juggling after the first foot was down, but that was before the second. The ball started juggling before the second foot was down. So that confirms the referee's right decision to overturn the call. And then that fumble that was returned 99 yards for a touchdown by the Chiefs. That Kerryon Johnson was not down. He was he just ran into heavy traffic and he lost the football. And the whistle did not blow. And the referees let play continue. They saw the loose ball come out. They knew it. Even they knew it was a fumble. I'm not really sure. At first, it was a kind of a surprising thing to experience. I was like, "What's going on here?" Wow. But fans are just the fans were all over the refs, and they want to blame them for the Lions' loss. No, I don't think so. The Lions still hung around. They took the lead 2 times, and then they blew it with just precious seconds left. It was 34-30 was the final score. Chiefs won. They stayed undefeated. And then they lost this past Sunday to the Colts at home, which is surprising. But that Hail Mary, that might have been something that was something that some play that might have been pass interference, but that was deserved. Lions fans deserved it. They lost, but that's something they got to overcome. They can't fumble the football. They got to do a better job with ball security, just like I mentioned before with Michigan, the Michigan Wolverines.
Yeah. You're absolutely right, Taylor. And, here's what I'm going to say to all Lions fans who might still be complaining about how they got screwed. Don't be complaining about stuff that your team can't control. Complain about stuff that they can control, like playing through the whistle or hanging on the football. For one, that Galladay catch that got overturned, nobody's getting that call when you bobble the ball twice, especially as you're going to the ground. Nobody is. I don't care. I don't care if you're Devontae Adams or any other top receiver in the league. Nobody's getting that call. That wasn't a catch by the letter of the law. And Kerryon Johnson's fumble at the goal line. Keep playing until they blow the whistle. Don't get and hang on to the football. All is well. And as for the missed pass interference call, for one, don't put yourself in that situation. In fact, what were you doing on 4th down? You only rush 3, and you have a linebacker peel off and try and double cover the running back coming out of the backfield, leaving the field wide open for Patrick Mahomes to scramble easily for the first down.
And more.
Paul Pasqualoni, I'm looking at you. And whoever the linebacker was on that play. You don't do that. Everyone knows if you're going to – and for one, I'm no fan of rushing 3. You bring 4. Make them get rid of the ball quicker, especially since your pass defense actually played pretty well because Mahomes did not throw a single touchdown pass in that game. So you did pretty well. And for one, if you're going to break through that situation, have somebody spy because Mahomes can scramble. Oh, I mean, look, I know he's not Lamar Jackson. and he's gonna torch you for a really long run. But still, have somebody watch it, because you fall for a quarterback scrambling on 4th and long. That's like falling for the banana in the tailpipe gag from Beverly Hills Cop. Play about stuff the team can't control. I don't mind if you do that, but don't be going on and on about all this stuff that they have no control over. Winners play above stuff like that. Losers just whine. And I'm going to leave it.
Yeah.
As for their next game against the Green Bay Packers, which will be on Monday Night Football, this is one everyone's going to point to the fact that the Lions have beaten the Packers 4 straight times, and they've won, I believe it's
3 or 4 at Lambeau.
Yeah, their last 4 at Lambeau.
3 or 4.
So I mean, they're capable. They're capable of winning there. But the thing is, Green Bay was my pick to win the NFC North to begin with. I think Aaron Rodgers is going on his revenge tour. This is a team that can easily get to 12 wins and possibly represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. On the season, they do have wins. They had ugly wins over the Vikings and Bears. They ended up beating Denver, who has a terrible offense. Lost to the Eagles, who the Lions ended up beating. And then, of course, they ended up beating the Cowboys in Dallas on Sunday. Hey, this is again. I mean, I think truthfully, it depends on the health of guys. I know that the Lions just got T.J. Hockenson, their tight end, back from an injury. But I also know that I'll pull up the injury report. Mike Daniels and Snacks Harrison did not. So who knows? I don't really know what's going on with Snacks. Daniels has apparently got a foot issue. But Hockenson did return from concussion protocol. So I think that could possibly help them. As for Green Bay, they are going to be without – I got to scroll down to them. They've got guys who are still nicked up. Devontae Adams, their top wide receiver, who is still is questionable. I'm not sure if he will return or not. If he doesn't play, then that definitely plays in the Lions' hands. And plus, there's some of their reserve defensive backs have been beat up as well. So we'll see what happens. It'll be interesting to see, but truthfully, I think this is a game Green Bay ends up winning pretty easily. I foresee this one being I kind of have a feeling this one's going to be a blowout. I think Green Bay wins possibly by 2 touchdowns. I'll say 31-14.
That's not a blowout.
Well, okay. Well, it could be, but I'm gonna lean more towards 31-14 Green Bay in this one, because I think the Packers are going to be looking to make a statement.
That's a 3-possession game, so that's 17.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they do end up blowing them out, but I think the realist in me says 31-14 Green Bay.
Yep. So I'm gonna pick Green Bay to win by a closer margin. The Lions are gonna play their hearts out. They're gonna make costly mistakes again. The way I see it, I'm gonna go 27-21 Pack on this one. So I'm just taking a wild guess. How about 27-17? Actually, make it a 2-possession game. So it's not going to be a blowout at all, but it's not going to be close either at all. So it's going to be in between. So Lions Packers Monday Night Football, 8:15 or 8:30 on ESPN. Gonna be an interesting one. The Packers 4-1, I think.
Yeah, their only loss was to the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, it was at home too. That was on Thursday Night Football like last week or so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was amazing. 34-27. That's what I remember the final score was. Eagles just barely held on. So there you go. The Lions are 2-1-1. They're in second place, just barely. The Bears and Vikings 3-2, tied for third. It's been neck and neck the whole way through. We'll have to keep it. We always keep an eye out on the standings here on the Michigan Sports Truth podcast on the Stables Network, All Access Detroit on Zoom Live. Yeah, so Lions Packers Monday night, 8:30 on 8:15 or 8:30 on ESPN. Let's hit the ice and recap the first three games that the Red Wings have played. First off, Tyler Bertuzzi, his stick was just his stick lit on fire as he came up with 2 goals and 2 assists. Anthony Mantha with a goal and 2 assists. Luke Glendening and Dylan Larkin. Luke Glendening, of all people, for example, both him and Larkin each a goal and assist. As the Red Wings upset the Nashville Predators 5-3 on opening night at Bridgestone Arena in Nashville. It was a back and forth hockey game, except the Red Wings started out on a 2-0 lead. They coughed it up in the second period, but the Predators never had the lead. That's the most interesting part of this Red Wings win on opening night. And then Anthony Mantha scored all 4 goals in a 4-3 regulation win against the Dallas Stars on the Red Wings home opener at Little Caesars Arena. But Anthony Mantha, even he had help. But this reminded me of Sergei Fedorov's 5-goal game on December 26th of 1996, when Fedorov won the game in overtime with the help of the Russian 5, and even Brendan Shanahan, my favorite Red Wing of all time, he got an assist on Fedorov's 3rd goal. That was on the power play. Konstantinov as well made a centering pass sharp from a sharp angle, almost a sharp angle, but still in front of the goal line. And Fedorov just one-timed at home. But Anthony Mantha, he used Dylan Larkin. He used Tyler Bertuzzi. He even used Mike Green. It was back and forth, except Dallas had a 2-0 lead. But Anthony Mantha came right back with the first 2 of his 4 goals, and then Mantha gave the Red Wings the lead just 15 seconds in, and then the Stars retied it back up real quickly. That was the whole, and it stayed tied until 53.3 seconds left. Larkin fed Mantha, and Mantha one-timed it past Anton Khudobin, who started for Dallas. And then with 1.2 seconds left, 1.6 seconds left, rather, Jonathan Bernier, of all people, just sticking his left pad out and just making a goal line stand. I know this is like in football, but even Ken Daniels, the FSD Red Wings play-by-play commentator, screamed it out. Bernier made the stop right at the goal line in the crease to keep the puck out of the net. It had to be reviewed, but the call was confirmed, no goal. Thankfully. But my goodness, what an exciting game. But then they suffered their first loss of the season to the Anaheim Ducks 3-1. It was scoreless after 1. Then Philippe Hronek scored what appeared to be the only goal for Detroit. Then Dylan Larkin thought he had a goal to give the Red Wings back a 2-1 lead after Dallas tied it just like seconds before, 50 seconds before. But the goal was waved off because Anthony Mantha just barely was offside. I saw the replay clearly as I was watching the game at LC Tap House, just 7 miles north of me, up in Lake City in town. Anthony Mantha was clearly offside. His skates were just in front of the puck, which was on the blue line before the puck completely crossed the blue line. And fans just again, they think it was They think it was onside again, just because they want everything to go their way. They just don't care. That's how reckless the fans are. Just like all fans of all teams in this country, but Detroit is the most thin, has the thinnest skin of the Detroit's people has the thinnest skin ever. It doesn't matter whether their gender, age, race, or orientation or so. They just want to favor their teams. They coddle, they shill, they homer. The play was clearly offside, just barely. It was very, very close, but it was offside. The refs made the right call to overturn it, and then the Stars took the Ducks took the lead. Ritchie and then Silverberg. That's the what. And the Red Wings just started falling apart. They didn't even score a darn goal afterwards. So that's just it. So Frank, 2-1-0 is not a bad start, but it could have been 3-0-0. I know you're not going to win at every game, but it could have been 3-0-0 had the Red Wing, or either 2-0-1 rather. One of the other, if it had the Red Wings not fallen apart, then it would have been an exciting game no matter who won.
Yeah.
But the Red Wings, I did not expect that kind of start to emerge in their first rebuilding year under general manager Steve Yzerman, who said it's going to take time. But my goodness, here they are.
Yeah, seeing him get off to a 2-0 start in the Yzerman era was nice. I will fully admit that. The thing is, you're starting to see that this team doesn't really have a ton of depth, and for one, there are areas where they're struggling. I mean, I've got NHL.com up right now. They are actually 29th out of 31 teams in face-off win percentage, only ahead of the Vegas Golden Knights and Chicago Blackhawks. So, I mean, truthfully, down the middle, they aren't really that deep down the middle. I mean, Dylan Larkin is your best option at center. Beyond that, you don't really have much, because Athanasiou, I think, is better. Andreas Athanasiou, I think, is better on the wing than at center. So you're not really doing too much. You're not really doing too much there, and then you're pretty much averaging shots per game, shots allowed. Same with your special teams. Your penalty kills about is actually in the top 10th in the NHL. Power play percentage is towards the bottom and 24th. And you're pretty much middle of the road anywhere else. But I mean, water is going to find its level with the Red Wings this season, and yeah, it is going to take time to get things going in the right direction. Yzerman said that. So I mean, there's really no need to get up in arms about their performance against the Ducks, even though I don't think the Ducks are going to be that good this season as well. So I mean, who knows? So I mean, it's pretty much going to be they'll be nights they get a win, but more often than not, they're going to take their lumps. Now, looking ahead to Montreal, I got to find their schedule real quick, because it'll be tomorrow.
Yep. Yeah, Montreal first at Bell Center, and then So go on.
Yeah. So they'll play at Montreal, and of course, Montreal's just been a team that's had their number in recent years. I mean, we all remember a lot of shellackings that they took, especially in 11-1 that year. I mean, on the season, Montreal has played 3 games. They are being left. Their top goal scorer is Jesperi Kotkaniemi, who's got 2 on the season. Joel Armia's got 2 on the year. Jonathan Drew and Matt Stomey and former Red Wing Tomas Tatar, Jordan Wheel, Brendan Gallagher and Phil Deneau each got a goal apiece. Also, Jeff Petrie and Ben Chiarot got a goal from the blue line. Shea Weber, their top defenseman, and he's got a couple assists on the year. And they're led in net, obviously, by Carey Price, although he has given up a lot of goals on the season. He's got a 3.69 goals against average. So we'll see how it goes. I think Montreal this is probably a game that Montreal wins since they're at home. But again, this is a team that's going to end up taking their lumps a lot, especially with Toronto coming in on Saturday night. I believe that's a Hockey Night in Canada game. And then it's going to be a West Coast swing.
Western Canada.
Yes. So it'll be Vancouver and then the twofer in Alberta with Calgary and Edmonton and coming up after that. So, I mean, again, what I'm really looking for from the Red Wings is individual development. Are their young guys going to get better and step up? I mean, look, seeing Anthony Mantha have a 4-goal night and actually be the NHL second star of the week and for a while have tied for the lead in the NHL in goal scoring, that's nice to see. I mean, how are you going to build off of it from here on out? You got to look for more of that on a consistent basis. I mean, guys like Larkin, how much better is he going to get? Andreas Athanasiou return to action. Even Philippe Hronek, who I think he was actually kind of overlooked last season, and he was considered the third best rookie defenseman, at least in terms of ice time. So how much is he going to develop and help what? And we'll see and we're going to see how things go. I know they did end up making a trade for Alex Biega, defenseman from Vancouver, who's kind of just been a depth guy most of his career.
They traded a forward for him.
Yeah, David Pope, who they took in the 2013 draft, who pretty much never had a chance of sniffing the lineup in Detroit. And right, so I mean, it really was. Yeah. It's not too much, nothing to get really up in arms about. I think really Steve Yzerman was just trying to get some depth on his blue line, especially with Trevor Daley being injured, hurt right now, and I think I'm looking at that, and I believe also Jonathan Ericsson still hasn't been cleared to play. So I think he just kind of wanted to get some depth back there as well in the event somebody else goes down with an injury. So he has somebody for this upcoming road trip.
Right. I can't wait till Jonathan Ericsson gets the boot. Jeez. I don't mind Trevor Daley. Right. I don't mind Trevor Daley staying, but Jonathan Ericsson was trash the last few years. He was. There's no kidding about that. Just a turnover machine, and he just hasn't produced. That's it.
Yeah. So I think we'll see what ends up happening. I mean, I know later on the season, but again, I'm just really looking for individual development from this team because, for one, they're going to be near the bottom of the league and be in contention for a lottery pick. So it's really just individual development is pretty much all I'm looking for. Or from the young guys.
Absolutely. Well, it's 10:53 and change, soon to be 10:54. One topic we were going to cover last week was the Los Angeles Angels firing former Tigers manager Brad Ausmus after 1 year as manager for the Angels. Brad Ausmus, like Nick Castellanos pointed out, is not a good communicator. Still, his lack of communication skills or lack of usage of communication skills got the best of him, and the Angels gave him the heave-ho, just like the Tigers should have done after 2014.
No surprise. I mean, I think everybody knew that this was going to happen. I mean, I'll steal a quote from former co-host of the show, Ed Smith. It was going to be a lot of poor Mike Trout. Now, the Angels get rid of the Dartmouth dummy. No surprise there. And it sounds like they're going to bring Joe Madden in again. Color me shocked there, sarcastically.
After he got let go by the Cubs, who were in talks with Joe Girardi.
Yeah, but I mean, at least Madden got the Cubs to a World Series. So
Yeah, they got
hopefully
a World Series championship, for goodness sake. The Billy Goat curse had been broken then.
So hopefully better days are ahead for the Angels. I'm not saying that they're gonna end up winning the World Series next season. Is they got an off season to go through. Got to get different guys in. So, but we'll see what happens. The Angels will be better off without
the Tigers.
Yeah,
speaking of the Tigers, though, they had their bench coach Steve Little retired, and they decided to move Lloyd Clendon to the bench coach vacancy, meaning McClendon's no longer the hitting coach. So they decided to hire Joe Vavra as the hitting coach. Now there are no guarantees on this one, but it was actually much needed to be addressed. Lloyd McClendon was a terrible hitting coach, and the last 2 years under manager Ron Gardenhire, who was staying put for one more year, the last year of his contract in 2020, the Tigers' offense just did not click at all the last two regular seasons through this calendar year, through this calendar date. So, but we'll have to keep an eye on that. That there's still, again, no guarantees, but we'll keep an eye on their offense. Joe Vavra was a former hitting coach of the Minnesota Twins from 2006 to 2012, and the Twins had plenty of offense under Joe Mauer, John Morneau.
Justin Morneau.
Yeah, Justin Morneau. Sorry about that. Yeah, not John. Justin Morneau. Thank you very much. Those guys were hitting machines,
and a lot of them were tire killers. I mean, Mauer and Morneau. Plus, they also had Joe Creedy, Michael Kadire. I mean, I could probably
another former Twin, another Twin back in that day. Yeah.
I can't. Yeah, I still remember that 2009 Twins team that just tormented the Tigers. Denard. I think I could. Denard Span, Joe Mauer, Justin Morneau, Joe Creed, Michael Kadire, Jason Kubel. There's probably others I'm missing as well.
But we got, it's almost 10:58. So
we're probably gonna have to wrap.
Yeah, Pistons, by the way, beat the Dallas Mavericks 124 to 117 in preseason play. They're now 1-1 in preseason play. They lost their first game. Both games are Little Caesar Arena, but they lost their first game and were outfashioned with the Orlando Magic 115 to 91. It was projected that Blake Griffin had plenty of rest, only played three preseason games. So that's a good idea, considering how many key guys you have on the roster if you're the Pistons. So closing statement time, Frank, what have we learned?
Well, I think we've learned that both Michigan and Michigan State have to get their offenses going. The Red Wings, it's going to be a rough season, but truthfully, all we need to watch for is individual development from young guys. Are they going to get better? If they do, then things are going to be just fine. If not, then I think that I should have mentioned this earlier, but I think if they keep struggling on a nightly basis, then Steve Eisman will probably get rid of Blashill. But I think, truthfully, you just got to look for individual development. The Lions, are probably going to be the Lions in Green Bay. The Pistons, I mean, we'll see. We'll just have to see what happens with them coming this season. I know Blake Griffin's not going to play too much. And the Tigers, once the offseason gets here, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Depends if any moves get made.
My closing statement to the fan bases, especially in Detroit, stop blaming the referees. Watch the games more clearly, please. Your team is self-destructing the way they're losing. Don't blame the officiating. Don't blame the refs. Okay? So, Frank, thanks very much. We'll talk next week. Todd Faber will join us as well on the 16th. So catch us on, I believe on the Stables Net. Yeah, it's on the Stables Network. Check out our website, the show's website, the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast.com. Also, like its verified Facebook page, the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast. Follow its Twitter, Periscope, and Instagram at Michigan_Truth, and listen to its independent edition in audio form on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, via iTunes, Google Podcasts, and CastBox. For Frank Vashner, I'm Taylor Phillips. Follow him on Twitter at Frank_Vashner, also on Periscope and Instagram. Follow me on Twitter, Periscope, and Instagram at DT2Phillips with 2 L's. We'll talk next Wednesday at 10 on Zoom Live. Thanks very much for listening, downloading, and sharing. And remember, the truth is out there. TTFN, ta-ta for now. Bon appetit. Hit 'em with a hind.